Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum dear students. I am your teacher Simin Amir and today I am here again with a new lecture. I hope everything is going well with you and your family. Let's start today's lecture. This is my lecture number 14 for grade 7 and today we have a geography class. We have already started with chapter number 4 and which is about the land supply. Land supply. Land is a free gift from nature and therefore its quantity is fixed by nature. In other words, the supply of land to the entire economy does not depend on the price like the rent for its use. Hence, from the standpoint of the whole economy, the supply of land, which includes natural resources, is perfectly inelastic. The more commonly used methods are like land clearance, land reclamation, and maximizing land for increasing the supply of land. Land clearance methods such as deforestation, and deforestation is the clearance of forest by methods such as logging and burning. So this is not a good way to maximize the available land. Like land is a gift of nature, whether it be a good such as air or a primary input such as labor or land. In the narrow sense, might be like a free good under certain circumstances, but a produced commodity can be a free good, other than in a market period only if it is a joint product. So land is a free product or free ready product, and this is a gift from God. In the previous lecture, I have told you that land is a scarce resource. As I said that 30% of the earth's surface is covered with land. This appears to be a lot of land, but you know that only 10% of this land is habitable and arable. Arable means like a land that is suitable for farming, and habitable means like human, it is like livable for human and for animals. You know that the rest of the 20% of land is, we can say, like in a region that is too cold or either too steep or either too dry, that people are unable to live there. So in a total, we have 30% land in which 10% is very, very dry. 5% is in area that is too steepy, too mountainous, and 5% is in area that is too much cold. So only 10% of land is habitable. There are different types of land uses. I have told you there are like the first one was the cropland, and cropland is the land that is used for agriculture for the cultivation of plants. And then is the pasture. Pasture is the like the land that is used to feed animals, to grow crops, that is for the consumption of the animals like the cattle and the sheep. And then I have told you about the forest land, and I said that 32% of total land is covered with forest. That is particularly forest, and you know that forests are very important for for our eco balance. And then there is urban area, as I said that urban area is also very important, like all the cities with all the public amenities, with all the facilities are areas of urban. And then some of the area is like other areas, we can say, like there should be some area, some land that should be set aside for schools, universities, and other educational institutions. So there is now a great competition for land, more so with a larger population now than before. Then we learned about the reasons for the rising demand for land. and we divided the reasons into three groups. Like the first one was increase in the population, and I've told you that the world's population has grown up to like 6.6 billion nowadays, and the increase in actual number is still very large. With this much large population, we need more food, and for more food, we are continuously clearing more land for more cultivation. And then with this growing population, we need more housing, more roads, railways, and more schools, more hospitals, more facilities. And for this, we are continuously clearing more and more land for making towns, for making all the facilities for the people. Then I've told you the second reason, that was loss of arable land. I've told you that arable land means the land that is suitable for farming. So when the land loses its fertility, that is loss of arable land. And this is because of three main things, like the overcultivation, and because of the irrigation, and because of the overgrazing. Like in overcultivation, the land is used for cultivation intensively and over a long period, and the land is allowed little or no less rest period. The soil structure is destroyed and soil fertility is totally lost. This is overcultivation of land. Then I've told you that for cultivation, like some of the areas which are which do not have a suitable amount of rainfall. So these areas are, when we are cultivating those land, we are providing irrigation facilities to this. But this is the result of, like we can say, with irrigation, irrigation increases the salt content of soil, and through which this is the land loses its fertility and leads to soil erosion. And about 30% of world's cropland has become unproductive, and that is only because of this irrigation process. And then land is also lost when overgrazing occur. I told you overgrazing. Grazing means when the pasture, or we can say the when the animals are eating food, eating grasses, and that is grazing. And with this overgrazing, the situation when the pasture is grazed without rest leads to desertification of land. So, and that will subject to soil erosion then. So this is again very problem. And then the last reason is like competition for land from biofuel. I told you biofuel is the fuel that is derived from living matter, and the land is like before we were only planning land for living there, for cultivation, but now we need land for to grow plants that provide the biofuel. This means that land is not only used for crops and animals to feed, or we can say to feed the people, for housing and for population. No, it is also used to grow biofuel plants such as oil palm, and we can say the jatropha is a plant which can be converted into biofuel diesel. Then we learned about the ways to increase the supply of land, and in which the first one is the land clearance, and it is the most common, fastest, and cheapest method of increasing the supply of land. And this is just to clear the forest. And this deforestation can lead to soil erosion, and can lead to desertification. So there must be many problems with land clearance. Then the second one is land reclamation, and land reclamation is the creation of new land that was once the ocean, and we can even reclaim the land that was left behind after the mining process. Like mining land can also be reclaimed and reused, and like we if we fill the craters, or the large cavities that are left behind after mining, so we can use those holes for recreational purposes. And then we can even when we are reclaiming land from water bodies, especially from oceans, and we learned about like the Palm Island in Dubai, and the Kansai International Airport in Japan. These were the two examples of the land reclamation in the seawater. And then was this restoring derelict land. Derelict land means the land that was damaged. So land can be damaged by farming activities, and the fertility of soil is lost through continuous farming and poor farming techniques. But if we provide fertilizers to that, and like the loss of fertility of the soil can be restored by adding fertilizers to that land. So with this type of activities, we can restore damaged land, like the land that is damaged with mining. We can restore that land by refilling the big holes, and we can like the untidy heaps that left behind after the valuable minerals have been extracted. So we have to clean the area, we have to restore that area also. And then some of the area that is, we can say, barren and is away from the uh, influence of the monsoon winds, or we can say that is away from the influence of any of the source of rainfall. So we can provide the irrigation facility to that area and to make it usable for cultivation and for agriculture. Like you can say, you know that the hot acids make up about 13% of the earth's land. 13% is too much. We can restore that land through the method of irrigation. And now we have mechanical techniques of irrigation. So we can use that land, that kind of barren land, for agriculture and for cultivation. So the next topic is maximizing available land. And there are few ways which are used for maximizing available land, as land is a scarce resource and there is a lot of competition for land in our world. There should be some ways of, or we can say measures, to maximize or increase the land that is available. And the first one is high rise buildings. Like in many small land scarce countries, the only way out of the problem of land supply is to go upwards. And this is like in cities such as Hong Kong and Singapore, skyscrapers are the norms, is the norm due to the competition of land. So in many countries, the only way out of the problem of land being less if making high-rise buildings. Like this way of using less land for more purposes through going upwards is used in many cities of the world. The second way to maximize the use of available land is to increasing the density of the buildings. Increasing the density of buildings means to make buildings very close to each other to reduce land use, so that more land can be used for other purposes. Uh, just like cities like Hong Kong and Singapore, there the density of buildings is very high, as they are making high-rise buildings, so they are not using much of the land, they are using much of the airspace. So means that they are making their buildings close to each other to use the extra land for other purposes. Another way to maximize the use of available land is the terrace farming. And in agriculture, a terrace is a piece of sloped plain, we can say, uh, that has been cut into a series of successively receding flat surfaces of platform, which resemble steps for the purpose of more effective farming. And this type of landscaping is therefore called terracing. And like this is also known as terrace cultivation, and this is the method of growing crops on sides of hills or mountains by planting on graduated terraces built into the slope. Though labor intensive, the method has been employed effectively to maximize arable land area in variable terrains and to reduce soil erosion and water loss. So this is like the right mix of soil requires regular soil, which is like compost, coir peat, and different types of soil after heavy rains. Make sure you add essential nutrients back to the soil as water tends to wash them away. So, in urban areas, to reduce land use, the density and height of the buildings are increased. In rural areas, farmlands have been moved up onto the slope in order to increase the available arable land. What the farmers have done is create steps on slopes and use the land for farming, a process known as terrace farming. And by doing so, steep areas can be cultivated. And the last way is soilless cultivation, means cultivation without soil. So isn't it strange? But you can say yes, it is possible. When water travels through soil, it takes those nutrients with it to the plant roots. So in soilless agriculture, such as hydroponics, we simply deliver these same nutrients that have been pre-mixed into a water reservoir along with high levels of oxygen efficiently to the plant root. So hydroponic is a method, that is hydroponic farming, and is one of efficient way to grow fruits and vegetables in small spaces without the use of soil. Instead of dirt, plants grow down into water, to which farmers have added the necessary nutrients for plants growth, and these are then absorbed along with water through a plant's root. So this is basically there are two methods, the hydroponics and aeroponics. So with this new technology, it is now possible to grow crops without soil. This is called hydroponics and aeroponics. Only liquid nutrients are used and the crops are grown in trays which can be placed in multi-story structures. This type of farming uses less land. However, farms like these are expensive to set up as special equipment is needed. So in the hydroponics, as I said, this is only liquid nutrients, and these are used as the crops are grown in trays, which can be placed in multi-story structure. And in aeroponics, the plants are grown in trays and their roots hang out in the air, require less land. So in the aeroponics, we give it like all the nutrients in a steam form, in an air form. So we are done with the chapter. Let me give you a glance of the all the topics here. As in the land supply, I've told you that the land is a scarce resource, and what are the main uses of land? These are like the cropland, pasture, forest land, urban settlements, and a few others like educational institutions and recreational institutions. Then we learned about the reasons for the increased demand for land, why we need more land. The reasons are the increase in the population and the loss of the arable land, and there's a competition for land from biofuel now. And then in this lecture we learned about the ways to increase supply of land. For this, we can clear the forest like deforestation, we can reclaim land from water bodies, we can restore any derelict or damaged land, and we can irrigate the dry land. And then we learned about the maximizing the land use, the available land use, and that is like by building high-rise buildings and by increasing the density of buildings, by doing terrace farming, and by soil-less cultivation, like cultivation without soil. So that was all about the land supply. So let's do the first question now, and this is the explain why land is scarce resource. And the answer is about 30% of Earth's surface is land. This appears to be a lot of land, but only 10% of the land is arable or habitable. In the remaining 20%, 5% is too cold, 5% is too mountainous, 10% of land is too dry to be livable or arable. So hence, land is a scarce resource. The second question is, what is overgrazing? And the answer is, overgrazing occurs when plants are exposed to intensive grazing for extended periods of time or without sufficient recovery periods. It can be caused by either livestock in poorly managed agriculture applications. Let me read again. The question number 2 is, what is overgrazing? And the answer is, overgrazing occurs when plants are exposed to intensive grazing for extended periods of time or without sufficient recovery periods. It can be caused by either livestock in poorly managed agricultural applications. Third question is, how does overcultivation lead to desertification? And the answer is, overfarming causes the soil to lose its nutrients, so the plants growing there die. With no plants to help make the soil fertile and hold on the topsoil, the soil continues to degrade by deteriorating in mineral content and blowing away with the wind. Thank you so much, dear students, for watching this video. Please do this work in your neat notebook. Must write today's date and day, and please make a margin line and maintain your index. We'll do the next few questions of this chapter and the objectives in the next video. Till then, Allah Hafiz.